Newly elected BC Premier David Eby introduced the Housing Supply Act. In this legislation, he introduced 3 action plans which removes rental restrictions for Abbotsford apartments and strata properties across British Columbia. In this video, we'll look at the 3 different action plans and I'll give you my professional opinion on each one. Let's go. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Gary Dhindsa, where we talk Abbotsford apartments and East Abbotsford real estate. In today's video, we'll examine the 3 action plans proposed under the Housing Supply Act. The second part of this video, I will review and give you my professional opinion on each action plan. The first action plan is to remove rental restrictions to turn empty units into more homes. So this won't impact those units built in 2010 or later because they had no rental restrictions to begin with. But this does impact the older strata units that had rental restrictions or age restrictions. The second action plan is to end most of the age restrictions so young people and families have more options to choose from when they're looking to buy or rent a home. So if you are a homeowner and you live in a strata complex that is age restricted of 55 and over, you won't be impacted by this. We'll remove age restrictions for those complexes that had age restrictions of 19 and over, 25 and over, 35 and over, or lastly, 45 and over. The third action plan is working with municipalities with the greatest housing needs to set targets to build more homes and faster. The targets are provided by and in consultation with municipalities. So those are the 3 action plans. Now let's review each one individually and I'll give you my professional opinion on each one. Let's look at the first one where you are removing rental restrictions across the province. My professional opinion on the first action plan is that it will not create more homes and it will not make homes any more affordable. In reverse, what's going to happen now is the strata complexes that previously had age restrictions or rental restrictions will see an influx of investor buyers, and this will cause an increase in their individual unit prices. The real issue, folks, here in British Columbia and Canada is the lack of supply, meaning there's not enough homes being built to meet demand. In the next 3 years, the federal government is planning on bringing 1.5 million immigrants to this country. So when we have people immigrating to Canada or migrating to BC from other provinces, or moving from the lower mainland to Abbotsford, the real issue is the lack of supply, not the rental restriction. There is an article on the Western Investor, which I'll share below, on the new legislation, and they had a great point. This article quotes the Condominium Homeowners Association, saying that there's actually less vacant units where there are strata restrictions versus complexes that have no rental restrictions. This article further goes on to state that the director of the CHOA actually wrote to the NDP government during the consultation period in September that there was no research or statistics showing that removing rental restrictions would create more rental units. The government will never address the core issues, but they will keep putting on temporary bandages to appease the public. And this is just another temporary bandage that fails to address the core issue. The one thing that these idiotic politicians fail to realize or recognize is that the rental restriction was one of the only advantage first-time home buyers had. What I mean by this is, folks, is suppose you were a first-time home buyer and you were looking to purchase a condo or a townhome here in Abbotsford, or you didn't want to compete against investors. You would have looked at strata complexes that had rental restrictions or age restrictions if you didn't have any children. And what happened in that case is that you probably purchased the unit successfully, and you probably purchased that unit at a lower price compared to a condominium selling at the Onyx where there are no rental restrictions. The thing is, folks, sellers in these strata complexes which previously had rental restrictions now are going to be looking at 2 profiles of buyers, looking at first-time home buyers and investors. Most likely, if they get an offer between a first-time home buyer or an investor, they're going to go with the investor. Because the thing is, folks, the first-time home buyer might only be doing a down payment of 5 or 10%, making it an unconventional mortgage, versus the investor might be doing a down payment of 20%. But the thing is, the terms and conditions on his or her contract of purchase and sale might be a lot friendlier. So if I had to guess, or if I was representing these sellers, I would always encourage them to go with the offer from the investor. The second part of this new legislation is, folks, not only will it reduce affordability for first-time homebuyers, but it will also impact those individuals downsizing. When a person was downsizing, he or she was looking to purchase a condominium or a townhome in an age-restricted or a complex that had rental restrictions. But these people also will be competing with investors when they're looking at their new prospective home. Another thing to keep in mind is, how about the rising cost of home insurance now? For those strata complexes that removed the rental restrictions now, they might see an increase in their strata insurance, and homeowners might see an increase in their individual home insurance plans. Let's look at the second action plan, which is to remove most of the age restrictions. The purpose of this action plan was to give more options for individual home buyers and people looking to rent. So if you are in a strata complex that is age restricted of 55 and over, your age restrictions are still intact, but this just means that the NDP removed the age restrictions for those complexes previously, which had age restrictions of 19, 25, 35, or 45 and over. Do I think this second action plan will help with homebuyer affordability? And the answer is no, folks. The thing is, it is going to help those individual homeowners that have already bought a condo or a townhome in a complex that previously had age or rental restrictions. Now, if he or she chooses to buy a new home, they can always turn their first home into an investment property. So here's the story, folks. I've sold a couple of units in a strata complex of 23 townhomes here in Abbotsford. The name of this complex is the Woodbrook Terrace. It's a townhome complex of 23 units. And this complex was age restricted, meaning that all occupants wanting to live here had to be the age of 45 and over. I've sold the last couple of units in here, and what I found whenever I had an individual unit listed here was that I would get a lot of inquiries from first-time home buyers and investors because they were interested in these units. And the reason why they were interested in these units were they were selling at $70,000 to $80,000 below comparable units that had no rental restrictions or age restrictions. But now when you remove these age restrictions and rental restrictions, you're going to see an increase in the individual unit prices. Right now, as I'm recording this video, I also have a 2-bed, 2-bath condo listed at Langdon Street, which previously had rental restrictions. Now, when you remove those rental restrictions, it opens up the pool of buyers. Now my seller could sell this unit to a first-time home buyer or an investor. I was also talking to a seller yesterday, and the biggest myth out there, folks, is that investors are these people with deep pockets of money and they're out there to buy real estate and they can afford all the homes. That's not true. A lot of the investors that I work and represent on the buying end are hardworking Canadians that have owned a residential home for 8, 10, 12 years, and now they've saved the down payment to purchase a second strata property or a detached home. I thought I would clarify that myth. The third target plan is to work with the municipalities with the greatest housing needs so they can increase their targets to build more homes and build them faster. This action plan may work just because the provincial government now will put pressure on municipalities to set targets to build more homes for individual homeowners and renters to create more affordable housing. This action plan will be implemented in 2023 and we'll need more time to see how effective it will be. I just wanted to touch quickly on other government initiatives that have failed both on the provincial and federal level to reduce home buyer affordability. The first one is the stress test. The stress test was implemented in 2019, and I remember this vividly because working at that time, I was representing a lot of individual buyers and investors, and what they were doing at that point of time was they sat on the sidelines for the first couple of months waiting to see how it would impact real estate prices. And truth be told, it didn't impact real estate prices at all. What happened was buyers and investors got used to the stress test and they were still buying homes. Did it reduce buyer affordability? Yes. And now with the interest rates being over 5%, people are having to qualify at 7%. Yet the government does nothing about credit card debt, where credit card companies are charging 25 to 30% interest each month. The second tax that has failed is the NDP special, the BC spec tax. When you go to their website or look at their pamphlet, it says that the results are something only of 0.0 something percent. Yet they were promising this tax would create more homes on the market and make housing more affordable. The other one is the foreign buyers tax. And also the federal government, beginning of 2023, they are putting a ban on foreign buyers not being allowed to buy in Canada. But here's the thing, folks, if foreign buyers are still wanting to buy, they can always buy real estate under a housing company. The thing is, folks, both the provincial and federal government has failed time and time again to address the core issue, which is the lack of supply, meaning there's not enough homes being built here in Abbotsford, the Fraser Valley, Lower Mainland, and across Canada to meet demand. What the NDP or the news media will never tell you that there are first-time home buyers out there that are still entering the real estate market where they are buying a one-bed, two-bed condominium. I represent a lot of first-time home buyers, and the thing is, folks, these individuals have worked hard to save the down payment, or mom and dad are helping them out. These individuals were self-empowered. They weren't waiting for the government to come out and help them, but they took initiative. These are young individuals that had to learn financial literacy skills. The government isn't your friend. If you want to get ahead of life, you have to learn financial literacy skills. You have to become self-empowered to get ahead, to save for the down payment and enter the real estate market so you can buy your first home. Or if you already own your primary residence and you want to buy an investment property, it's easy, folks, and I represent a lot of people that are doing it each year. In today's video, we discussed the 3 action plans and my professional opinion on each one. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you liked today's video, make sure to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button. Happy watching, and I'll see you in the next one.